The one, the only, Tony Todd! We got a microphone runner right here for you. Look at that.
Thank you.
Personal, thank you so much, kiddo.
Thank you, Heather.
Absolutely. How you doing, Tony?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? Good? Had a good night last night, I hope?
Did you?
I had an early night. I'm shooting a movie this week, so I had to do some preparation.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we get to know about said movie?
It's called Pay Up. It's an action film, martial arts thing, and my character is Fabiosa Barbosa.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Fabiosa Barbosa. Ooh, I like saying it too.
Fabiosa Barbosa.
So no VIP party for you. You weren't there last night?
No.
Okay, because I know that there's like karaoke that goes on.
I heard.
Do you karaoke, Tony?
No.
No.
No,
Not at
I
all?
love music, but I don't karaoke.
No.
I'm in study mode, so I gotta, I got like 7 scenes I gotta prepare.
Understandable.
So, spending time on the floor. Did you karaoke?
No, not last night, but I do karaoke.
Anybody out here karaoke last night? So this is not the karaoke. Oh, you did?
Yeah?
What'd you sing? There you go.
All right. See, I'm like a Led Zeppelin kind of go-to.
I got you. I like our little neon, purple, blue microphone.
We're like kind of really cool right now.
Of course, it's awesome.
No, they specifically got me the purple for my hair. So we're actually going to be setting up a microphone in a couple minutes. But
Awesome.
Tony, so is this your first time here at a Florida Supercon?
It's my first time in Fort Lauderdale. My only other time in Florida. Well, I've been to Orlando for Spooky Empire.
I've been there as well.
And I shot a movie in Miami once. It was just 3 days, and that's it.
So
I'm
how-
a New England guy. I grew up in Connecticut,
Awesome.
and in New York, and now I live in New York and in LA.
And now here we are in Fort Lauderdale.
Here we are, Fort Lauderdale, where I didn't bring enough shorts. I wasn't used to the humidity.
No.
Yeah, I stuck with my jeans.
You need like the shorts and like the Tommy Bahama shirt. Like
Yeah,
you're
there
ready
you
to go on a
where
cruise,
it flows,
you know?
right? I got the shirts, but not the shorts. But it's cool. Once we get in here, it's air conditioning. Although somebody told me that one time they were at a Florida convention and the air conditioning went out. And I said, please don't let that happen.
No.
Please.
Well, you look great. So I like the
feel
swag.
Good. I feel good.
Well,
I got
that's what
some
matters
sleep.
most. Absolutely.
There you go. We got a new show on HBO right now, guys. It premiered last night called Room 104. Comes on every Friday at 11:30 by the Duplass brothers. So my voice is in every episode, and I'm one of the stars in one episode on August 11th. So check that out.
I love your voice, by the way. Just sitting next to you, this is like such a, like, I just want to listen to you just like read me like anything.
Let's go sailing, and then we could like, do some Jason Martz and, lay out on the thing, and I'm yours.
Whatever you got, I'll take it. Not to transition too far away from that, Tony.
Are you doing all the moderating for the day?
I do
and yesterday?
some. I do
Okay.
this, and I do a lot of the wrestling. So,
Oh, okay, so you got some wrestlers today?
Yeah,
Are you doing Sting and all that?
Sting doesn't have a panel, so I have Mick Foley later. But
Okay.
they give me the cool people like you.
Awesome.
So,
And
but
the early birds.
the early birds.
We're the early birds, folks. And we thank you for being here, seriously.
And even though I would say 90% of the people are probably in traffic right now, but you guys are awesome.
Yeah, I
You
heard
made
that
it.
there's a big backup going on, and there's a huge line I saw out the door,
Insane.
and they almost didn't let me upstairs. I had to wait, sorry for the delay, I had to wait 10 minutes because I didn't have a security pass.
You think that's what it is, or do you think because they realized you were the Candyman, and they're
No,
like,
they were doing due diligence. They weren't letting anybody without a pass up. So I don't fault them for doing their job, but sometimes, you gotta just take a look.
True, but speaking of Candyman, Tony, you were the first person that ever gave me a nightmare, so I'd like to thank you for that. Obviously sitting next to you, you're quite sweet, but what kind of preparation did you have to put into doing a role like that intense?
Well, I think all roles are meaningful and different. I mean, I come from the theater. I have a master's in theater. I went to Trinity Rep Conservatory in Providence. Spent 7 years studying the craft from 8 in the morning to midnight, living on $40 a week. And then once I got out of school, I taught for 2 years, moved to New York, got my equity card within 3 days. And I've been doing, I love movies. I've done over 150 of them. I've done 100 TV shows, but theater is my first love. When Candyman came along, I just finished a film in Africa with my idol, James Earl Jones. You can imagine us having conversations in the
I,
jungle.
I can.
James, where are you going today? I am going to record for CNN, Tony. Well, I want to be just like you, Jimmy. And it was so funny. I was like a little puppy, you know. He was my idol. And one day he said he was going off into the jungle to find his griot. I said, Jimmy, can I come with you? I need a griot too. He says, Tony, you have to find your own griot. And that kind of left me befuddled. But anyway, Bernard Rose, who directed and did the adaptation of Clive Barker's The Forbidden for Candyman, he saw that film and he said, that's my guy. I didn't know what that meant at the time. And when my agent called me, I thought they were joking. I thought it was like a Sammy Davis Jr. thing or something, and I'm way too tall. But they meant it, and all I had to do was go through a personality test. And so my preparation for that role or any role is very intensive. I do a lot of sensory work. I do, it's all method. It's all moment to moment and finding who the character is, why he's there, what they want, what they hope the outcome's going to be, and take it from there.
So is that what you studied when you went to school, is like the method acting?
Well, yeah, but method acting sometimes has a bad rap. It's all about finding the truth, finding out what is in you that relates to the character, what doesn't, subtracting it, and then using your imagination to be a springboard.
So what would you say connected you to the character of Candyman?
Well, he has a gothic sensibility. The movie is really a psychological love story. It's about a forbidden love that once happened that caused this man to be a ghost. And so all I had to tap into was unrequited passion, unrequited love. What were you doing last night? That kind of thing.
Hello. Did anybody else here try saying Candyman into the mirror, or no? Nobody?
No,
a couple.
Come on. I never did. We made that film for adults, and everybody comes up to me and they say, either you scarred me in my childhood, or I say, you saw the movie too young. And it used to bother me because we made it for adults. And I went to Bernard one day, I said, Bernard, what is it? And he says, Tony, anybody that saw a movie like this at a young age will remember it for the rest of their lives. So between him and Clive Barker assuring me it's going to be okay, because actors are sensitive, I realized it is okay. Whenever you saw it, whatever you appreciated out of it, we appreciate you.
And you're just so incredibly memorable, and I love the fact, honestly, horror is my favorite genre. And you've gotten a chance to be in a lot of horror films, like Hatchet.
My good friend
Hatchet
Adam
too.
Green, and I've gotten to meet a lot of the horror icons. Some of them are very close friends.
And what about Final Destination?
Final Destination, was more of a jigsaw puzzle, but I've been blessed to be in 4 of them. And the good thing for me about Final Destination, my good friend Jeffrey Reddick created it. I've done an X-Files. I did an episode called Sleepless. And they had submitted the Final Destination script as an episode of X-Files. They got put on a shelf, but they never forgot it. And then 3 years after that, they brought it back, and 20th Century Fox said yes. And next thing you know, it was off to the races. We shoot that up in Vancouver, Canada, BC, which is one of my favorite places in the world. I've shot over 25 things there. So, it's open air. My character's a mystery, which we like, and just keeping it enigmatic.
I've never been out that way. I've never been to Canada.
Oh, it's lovely. I just came from Montreal. I'm a huge music guy, so the Montreal Jazz Festival, if you've never been there and you love jazz, that's one of the places to be besides New Orleans.
Good to know.
And Chicago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Philadelphia and New York City.
You can just list all the states. Please, just start with Alabama.
St. Louis,
Ooh.
Kansas City. Here we come.
So we do have a microphone. If at any point, if you guys have any questions for Tony, please feel free, or we're just going to listen to him with that
we're
sweet,
in a
sweet
real
voice.
relaxed mode this morning. We're kicking off what's to be a stupendous Saturday for everybody. Hopefully, you're going to, there's a lot of eye candy on the floor. Not only among the celebrities, but among yourselves as people are creatively dressed, and we're here for enjoyment.
Have you seen any crazy cosplays this weekend that stood out?
All weekend long.
Yeah. Any that stood out to you in particular?
I saw people enjoying themselves, and just the whole thing about the anime and the cosplay scene, and people that maybe they find a way to embolden themselves and to be enlightened and to be at large. So they're being happy. I got 2 kids of my own that didn't go through that process, but the whole point is to be free.
Absolutely.
You can have 2 shades of hair on both sides. You
And
know?
I do.
Do the thing.
What would you cosplay as?
Wow, that's a tough one. What would I cosplay as? Maybe Plastic Man.
Okay.
Anybody remember that old cartoon? Maybe I'd do that if I was doing it.
Plastic Man?
Yeah, he could stretch. He was like,
Oh.
he had a red suit, little electric stripe, and he was like a big Gumby kind of thing. Or maybe I'd just do Gumby.
Gumby would be
Yeah.
cool.
Or recently, I'm trying to crack into the anime voiceover world, and recently I auditioned to play a unicorn for a little princess. So like every time she was in trouble, she would do whatever, and the unicorn would show up.
She would say unicorn a couple times in the mirror. And
No,
then
she would actually just go, she would say, I need help, and he would go, brrr, brrr. I didn't get the job, but we tried.
They're lost.
Yeah, they said it was too powerful. This is for 4-year-olds. Come on. So, I'm working on it. I'll get it. I promise.
I believe in you, Tony. Did you have a question?
I have faith. Hey, they gave me Zoom, but that's not, that's a little on the darker side, I guess.
I like the darker side. That's
I do
just
too.
me.
Darker is fun, as long as you come out of it.
What's your name?
Hi, my name's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. I really enjoyed your work on Star Trek as Current
Thank you.
and as Worf's brother, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on some of anything that really struck you as interesting or fun about working with the Star Trek cast and your character specifically.
Yeah, that was one of my first Hollywood TV jobs. We knew we liked each other. I'd auditioned 5 times in a row for them, so I knew they were interested, and I was definitely interested. I was raised by my aunt, working single mom situation, and we used to watch the original together when I was a very young child, and so to have the opportunity as an adult and fresh in Hollywood, it was just a dream come true. The last time I auditioned, it was in the Paramount Studios in the Marx Brothers building. I'm walking out, and I hear the casting director said, "Report to wardrobe, you got the job." There's no greater words for an actor to hear. And wardrobe, in the Klingons' case, is a big room about this size filled with Klingon boots and breastplates and hair and gnarly teeth, and I was in heaven. My very first scene was on board the Enterprise. So to come all the way from an 8-year-old watching it with my dear aunt to being on board, it was like, okay, enough of the sentimentality, let's get to work. So Klingons are wonderful. And we're currently doing the Star Trek Online game, if anybody does that, where, I don't know if you know the history of Kern, but he ended up losing his memory, and so now he's just got his memory back in the Star Trek Online universe. And in the next episode, me and Michael Dorn, Worf, my brother, will be reunited. It's amazing what facts you can remember early on a Saturday morning.
Do you speak any Klingon? Do you speak any? Ooh, what does that mean? And that, of course, means I love you?
Yes.
Okay. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
I'm a fan since I was a kid.
How old are you now?
I'm 24.
Awesome.
The movie came out when I was born,
Which movie?
Candyman.
Okay.
And I started when I was watching 9, and thanks a lot for my stepdad, that when you showed me, I couldn't go to sleep for like 2 days.
You think that was his intention?
Yeah. Yeah, because he was a fan of your movie because he loves witchcraft and horrors and bloody ghost stuff. And for him, he told me that he searched up in the internet, and he says that, I don't know if there's a rumor that probably in the future, they might do a remake of Candyman.
That rumor has been floating around for a while now. One of the reasons why we haven't done more than 3 is that they have 3 separate producers and they can't stand each other. So nobody will give over the rights to anybody. It's all messed up in legal entanglements and stuff. But Bernard Rose, the guy that brought Candyman to life, he and I did a film 2 years ago, a version of Frankenstein, that actually, if you look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, has 100%. But we had a horrible distributor, so you didn't see it. But it's being repackaged, and we have a new distributor. And I know he wants to do something. If he can't get the rights, then we're going to do it anyway without calling him Candyman, and maybe get Virginia Madsen and I back together again. So hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't replace another actor for a remake.
Yeah, well, if, I've got other things going on, so if they do, 10 years ago, I would have been really, really emotionally attached to it, but trust me, I got other projects that aren't sci-fi related or anything. In the meantime, check out Room 104.
All right, thank you. You're a legend.
No, I'm not, but thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Do you have any action figures of yourself?
Yeah, I do, actually. I got a room of all, like, fan art, and then I think I had something like 15 action figures altogether. It all started with Kern from Klingon, and up to and including Flash now with Zoom. So, yeah, one day when I go to the actors' retirement home, I'll bring all my action figures out, and while everybody else is playing shuffleboard, I'll just be playing with my little dolls and myself and talking to them and saying, hey, you remember when? Okay, let's go swimming. So I can't wait. Yeah, I'm a collector too. Trust me, I'm an only kid. I'm a geek at heart. I grew up reading comic books. And here we are. But thank you. What's your name? Benjamin. Thank you, Benjamin.
He's running the sound today, Benjamin.
Is he?
Yeah, he's doing a really great job.
Back over there.
Yeah.
You're in the control booth.
I'm an only child too, by the way.
Yeah,
Funny.
that's awesome. What sign are you?
I'm a Pisces.
Pisces. That's my daughter's sign.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm a Sag.
Hi.
What's
How you
your
doing? My name's Omega. I'm with the Fanatically Correct podcast.
Yes,
I
hi.
actually have two questions. We have time for the second one, but I'll just spit the first one out since the other person brought up Candyman. The film Get Out, which has gotten a lot of publicity, and a lot of it is because of, it deals with interracial issues and racial issues, things like that. And it kind of feels like they're forgetting that Candyman dealt with that as well, and probably a very earlier time when I know it wasn't the main focal point of the film, but it was a big part of it. And I was just curious, like, what are your feelings about that? How seeing Get Out, now getting that type of recognition, and Candyman really, they didn't go that route with it, and they just saw it as just plain hard and look at the drama behind it and the storyline.
Well, no. Well, there are a lot of people that just saw it as plain horror, but there are also a lot of, as again, I teach, so there's a lot of colleges, and there's been a lot of dissertation papers written on Candyman with people that did get that side of it. I mean, Get Out is, we're in a different decade now. It's 2017, and you can put the visceral part in front. I'm happy for the success. It means maybe more. I know that Blumhouse, they're doing a new project. It takes place in a high school that is a deprived high school, and they're trying to. I came close to doing the role of the principal in that, but there wasn't enough meat on the bone. But I know that they're doing it. It could possibly be a franchise. So if it opens the door, all I care about is diversity. So if it opens the door for more diversity in horror, not just horror, but in all genres of film, then great. I think this is a good time to be different in this country, no matter what that means, whether it's racially, interest-wise, sexually, whatever. It's a good time. So if you're all the writers out there, it's time to put your projects and your techniques to test, and we can get maybe. The thing about Hollywood, if you have a hit, they wake up and they listen, and Get Out was certainly a hit,
And then just to lighten it up, just a real quick one. You
There's
do
nothing,
a
there's
lot
nothing
of
heavy about diversity.
Oh, no, I don't. I mean,
Diversity is necessary.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But you do a lot of voice acting, which is great because you have a very great voice for CGI character, video game characters, animation. Is there a role, since you could play
But no
anything-
anime.
Yeah, well, I know, but since you could pretty much play. Well, since you can play virtually any type of role in those genres, is there a particular role you have yet to play that really interests you, like a dream role, like a certain superhero or something like that?
Yeah, I just did another voice for DC. I can't tell you what it is. It doesn't come out until 2018, but it's going to debut at New York Comic Con.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
Animated
it's-
or live action?
exciting.
Can you say that?
I can't say that.
But
One of the two.
DC, but you can say DC. That's cool.
I got in trouble because I did, and this is now public knowledge, I don't care, but I did a scene for Doctor Strange playing Dormammu, and it was all set. And then originally they had shot it with Benedict doing it, and then the producers wanted it to be different, but then he insisted that they keep his version. So, and it's cool. I mean, you know, but that would have been great because then I could have been in both universes. But, you know, there's some other stuff happening and some other stuff potentially. I can't reveal everything. I'm not trying to be a cagey poker player, but we have options.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. I love voiceover work. I love acting.
And you said we're going to know about it at New York Comic Con?
Yes.
So that's pretty soon. All right.
Well, New York Comic Con in 2018.
That's okay. Soon enough.
Yeah, no, it's like a 2-year project.
What's your name?
Hi,
My name is Danette.
Danette. How are you?
Fine.
Is that French?
My dad picked it out of a book.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that out later in life and was truly disappointed, but, you know.
No, well, you
Here
picked
it
it out of
is.
somewhere, and he's made it for you.
Obviously. Thank you. Two questions. When did you realize that you had the voice? And how did you feel, or do you feel, about how they wrote out Kern?
Okay, those are two completely different questions. I was in high school between sophomore and junior when I'm talking like this and, you know, going up to girls and saying, hey, how you doing? And all of a sudden I grew 6 inches and then this voice thing came out. But before that, because I had a well-coached, my aunt made sure every summer I was in a different program. I was in the Boy Scouts, 2 badges shy of a Life Scout. Every summer she put me into a different program because she wanted to keep me active, and because of that I found my passion. So because of the growth spurt, I was like totally incapable of walking down a hall room without, is it okay? Oh, he's changing mics on you. I like it, man. You're learning early. That was me. I was doing that. I was putting things together. I love it. And the coaches couldn't stand it. You're not there? Yeah, you're there.
It's there? Okay.
Yeah. The coaches were like shaking their heads, me walking down the hall room, and finally an English teacher, Mrs. Reynolds, she said, I got something for you. And she gave me a copy of Shakespeare's The Tempest. For me, it was like reading a graphic novel come to life. From that moment, I said, I'm going to be an actor. Then I saw Dwayne Jones do the original Night of the Living Dead in a drive-in theater, and I said, wow. So I can do it, and there's no mention of him being African-American, and he's carrying the film. Then I got hooked into Sidney Poitier and James Edwards, all the classic guys. And then as an early adult, I got to, you know, replicate Dwayne Jones' role in the revival, in the remake of Night of the Living Dead. So that was that. I accepted the role of the Kern script, The Sons of Mo, without reading it, to my chagrin, because if I had read it, I wouldn't have accepted it. Not for me, but I don't think my brother would have, not only as a brother, but as a Klingon, would have allowed that to happen to his family member. Michael and I have discussed it, but slap ahead a couple, 15 years or so, and in this Star Trek Online game, we're going to deal with that and what that means to what he did to me and how I forgive him.
Thank you.
I love your outfit, by the
Reluctantly.
way.
Thank you.
Do you watch
Thank you,
Orange is the
Danette.
New Black? Have you seen Orange is the New Black?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
You know Orange is the New Black?
yeah.
Yeah, not all of it, but some of it.
It's a good job.
I actually, I read for that as well.
Really?
Yeah, so sometimes I'm reluctant to look at the ones I read for and I didn't say yes. But I love the show and I love the writer because I'm a big fan of weeds as well.
Genji Cohen? Yeah, awesome. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Emily. I was just wondering, do you have, I'm sure you have many, but what is like one of your favorite experiences from live theater that you've done?
I started the year doing a play in my hometown of Hartford, Connecticut, a wonderful play written by a woman, Dominique Morrissey, who is on the writing staff of Shameless. She wrote this play called Sunset Baby about a former black revolutionary who spends 25 years in prison, gets out, and tries to reconnect with his daughter. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. We're all very close, but that play took a lot out of me. It was my first return to my hometown professionally in like 20 years. Got a key to the city, Everybody from my high school came out, and it was just a power pack play. Wonderful 90 minutes. But I've worked with August Wilson, one of the greatest dramatists, not just African American, of all writers in contemporary. He wrote, for those of you who don't know, he wrote 10 plays, each one chronicling a different decade in the African American experience. So I originated King Hedley II, and we did that in Pittsburgh. I did it for 2 years. It was a 4-hour play. So if you know anything about theater, that's exhausting. You got 8 shows a week, 4 hours a night. You end up being killed by your mother, and you're doing these wonderful words about an enriched cultural experience. And I've been on Broadway twice. That is another animal, because Broadway has become more about tourists, and they clap at everything. You sneeze on stage. You go, ah. But I did Aida, but I love New York, so you finish doing the play, you're in New York City, you can eat any kind of food you want. Again, I'm a jazz lover, so I go right down to the Village, I go to Smalls, my favorite spot, and I listen to my fellow musicians do art for me. So I love theater. Theater changes lives, folks. It changed my life, and if anybody's really interested, I hope it does the same for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Faith. The episode in Voyager you did as the Herodian, could you talk about stepping into the Herodian, because they established a Herodian culture, or filming the episode, having to work with all the prosthetics and obviously the green screen with the creature. Do you have any stories about that particular episode?
Yeah, I do. Of all the prosthetic work I did, that was one of the most uncomfortable, because it wasn't just a face, it was the whole body. Mm-hmm. And it took 5 hours to put on. And, I was really angry during that. I didn't know at the time, but that was my last Star Trek appearance, at least in that part of the universe. And, the makeup people told me, listen, Tony, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to tell us 20 minutes before you need to go. I tried to process that, and I said, okay. Because I was covered, from head to toe, and we even had a ventilator shaft in the back. It was uncomfortable. So that's why he's so angry, this guy. And then he had big horn things on his boots and stuff, and you got to make sure you know.
Don't hurt someone.
He was angry because he had to use the bathroom?
He was angry and he was sticky.
Did they add to your height at all, or did they just use your natural height?
I think they added an inch, but that was Jerry Ryan's first appearance also on the show, so that was significant. And so I looked at her and I took some of the pain away.
Thank you.
But it was still uncomfortable.
What's up, Benjamin?
Benjamin.
Can you do a voice?
Any voice?
Any voice.
You can't lock up the darkness. Benjamin, have you seen The Flash? Good.
Was that a good voice?
Thank you, Benjamin.
Ooh. Is that the voice you wanted? Oh.
We're like-minded.
You're like-minded. So when I was doing some research online before this panel, I had read that you said Candyman was like your personal Phantom of the Opera. Is that correct?
Very correct.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, we had no interest in just doing a slasher movie. One day I'm going to direct, and I'm a writer. I actually got my master's in writing, not in acting, but because of the program was so intensive, we had 4 acting teachers, 5 writing teachers, 3 directing teachers, etc. So that's my real passion. And I could have made a movie 5 years ago, but they want my first movie to be a horror film, and I don't want to be pigeonholed, even though I do have a horror script. So I want my first film to be more universal than that, less pigeonholed. We didn't want to make a slasher film. We wanted to keep it in the gothic romance. So Virginia Madsen and I, and she will thank her for her chemistry, because you're only as good as your weakest link. We did horseback ridings together. We did ballroom dancing. We did fencing together. We did all those things that were turn-of-the-century skills, and then went to work on the work. Because the backstory of Candyman is that he was a painter. who fell in love with a person of the opposite race and was condemned for it and was hanged, lynched, castrated, and then left to die. But his spirit sort of, rose above that situation. So we wanted to make sure that the connection between us was something historical and something that we both remember. There's a scene that they cut out of that movie. The studios were afraid because it dealt with interracial love. And it's the moment on the turntable where we're spinning around, and that was supposed to go on for 5 more minutes. And it's a waltz of time. It's a ballroom waltz that one day will be in a director's cut.
Awesome, good to know. And also, what can you tell us about the movie Death House, which you do with other horror icons?
Death House I did because Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface in the original Chainsaw Texas Massacre, was a dear friend of mine, and this was his last script and his last wish. And we tried to get as many people that knew him and that were also known in the horror universe to come together for him. I hear that they're going to have a release date scheduled soon, so I can't really tell you more about it than that.
No? So you can't tell us, like, the
No,
plot-ish?
it's done from love. I know Harrison Smith wants to do certain characters within the film in their own standalone, but I'm not just interested in doing horror just for horror's sake. I did that because Gunnar was a friend of mine, and that was his dying wish. And while we're on people that have passed, let's give homage to George Romero, who was a magnificent person and created the whole zombie experience. And I remember he was on the set every day when we did the remake of Night of the Living Dead, because that was his baby. And, when they did the original, they didn't get the copyright to it, so they made no money. And then and that's why it's one of the most replicated dramas, because people can do it for cheap. So that's the reason we did the remake, where they could actually get paid. And I just remember George's smile on this set of Night of the Living Dead. I'd get finished doing the scene and he'd just be grinning at me. And I said, George, this is supposed to be like horrific. He says, Dwayne would be proud. And that was what made that experience great.
Do you have...
We also lost Martin Landau, who I also worked with. He was a brilliant member of the Actors Studio coach. And then just yesterday, 2 days ago, we lost June Foray, who was the most prolific female voiceover actor of all time. She created Rocky and Bullwinkle, one of the greatest animated series ever.
I think she was 99 years old.
99 years old, 2 months shy of 100. What kind of life is that?
Yeah, wow, that's absolutely insane. Do you have any behind the scenes stories maybe from Night of the Living Dead with George?
Well, Tom Savini was at the helm of that, and Tom is a magician, and I am too. I'm an amateur magician. Don't ask me to disappear, because if I could,
Please don't.
I'd make a plane appear right now and fly home. No, I'm kidding. No, I have three cats at home and a wife, and not that in any particular order. No, we just rescued this little one named Charlie Parker, and I leave for a day and I come back and she's grown an inch. So, Tom, there's a scene in Night of the Living Dead. Look, I spent 6 weeks shooting this film at night, and I was very excited to do it. But after a while, you get a case of zombie overload. You sit down at dinner at 3 in the morning, and there's zombies all around you. Some have axes in their heads and, flesh falling from their eyeballs. And they say things like, you want some butter, Tony? And I say, stop. So one day I had to run away from the set, because we were right outside of Washington, PA, which is about 35 minutes from Pittsburgh, which is a great city. And I just said, look, guys, I'm not in the next scene. I'm just going to go, and I'll be back. I just went, heard some jazz, came back, and I was all right. But there's a scene when we first tried it later, like 3/4 of the movie, we were trying to get out of the house, and it's on fire, or the torches. I have a torch, and they're coming towards the front. And this is I'm done by this point. My son was born. I wanted to get home to him while we could watch some cartoons together before I had to go to sleep. And the house caught on fire, right? And I knew if I let the house stay on fire, it would take another 2 hours to reset and, you know, and get the zombies redressed and stuff. So if you watch carefully, I just smack it, because I know it's a little flammable thing, and the fire goes out, and they kept that in. So that's a little thing, the urgency behind that. I didn't want to do it again. Zombies, you know, zombies are hilarious. Some of them are real good comedians. They remind me of a lot of dead comedians, unfortunately.
We do have time for more.
Here's the comedy.
We have about 10 minutes left, so if you guys want to get your last minute questions.
Hey.
What's your name?
How's it going? My name's Phil.
What's up, Phil?
Doing all right. How you doing today, Tony?
I'm wonderful, man. They're speaking of comedy.
Yeah. This is a two-part question. What are your three cats' names?
Okay, our first cat is Cat Daddy Nico.
Okay.
Our second cat is Sparky Sparks. And the new cat is Charlie Parker.
Charlie Parker. That's awesome. I also
Yeah.
have three cats. So,
Yeah? What are their names?
It's Freaka Fry Jackson,
Okay.
Sif, just Sif, and then Buscemi Braxton, because when he was born, he had these big Steve Buscemi eyes.
Oh, I see. Shimi Jackson.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, my first film was with Steve Buscemi. We did an obscure independent film by Jim Jarmusch, who's, you know, did a lot of obscure New York stuff. It was...
Down by Law.
Huh?
Jim Jarmusch, Down by Law, right?
No, yeah, that's what he did, yeah, but I'm trying to remember the name of this film. I think it was somebody IMDb me. But yeah, both of us, it was our first film, and then my second film was Platoon. But go ahead. Always connected to somebody in this business.
Right? That's so cool. And my second question was, was Clive Barker ever present during the filming of Candyman? And if
Yeah.
so, do you have any interesting stories about him?
Well, Clive is a strange, eclectic cat, you know. He has 2 houses in LA. And by the way, we have to pray for him because his health has been failing now for a couple of years, and he doesn't come out much anymore. But he's got 2 houses side by side, one that he lives in, and his second house is just filled with his artwork. You know, and how cool is that you can afford to have 2 houses and one is just dedicated to art. Clive was on the set a lot of the time, I'd say 75% of the time.
Wow.
And, you know, it's weird, like in 3 cases, both Clive and George Romero and August Wilson, who I mentioned before, who were all part of significant projects I did, were all present, but they rarely said anything other than either smiling, or in August Wilson's case, he would sit back with his eyes closed all during rehearsal and just nod. And we knew he's such a specific writer that if you missed an if, and, or but, you know, he would cringe. We had Max Roach, the famous jazz drummer who was composing the score, who would be completely opposite. He was present, he'd be like in the rhythm and like moving with you, and we ended up playing to him. But all 3 of those geniuses, they were just listening and absorbing the work, and that's how you could tell whether you were doing your job. And then you learn how you're not there to please anybody, you're just there to tell the truth. If you tell the truth, then they're happy. So Clive was very happy, and he loved Bernard, and we love him.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's all about the process, folks.
I tried to look up the film, but you're in a lot of stuff, and it took me too long to scroll down to the bottom of the IMDb, so.
Couldn't scroll down.
I tried. Like,
Sleepwalk. Jesus, I had to shake the brine up. The name of the film was Sleepwalk.
oh.
It's
Which
very
is-
obscure.
Oh, there it is.
But it won a New York Independent Film Award.
Right before Platoon.
Right, exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah. What was it like working on that film, Platoon?
Platoon obviously changed my life. I mean, we just did a documentary. It's been 30 years, and it's the 30th anniversary. I know some of you aren't even 30. So there you go. 30 years, lovely, God-blessed, God-conscious art in this business. You know, I was a kid. My aunt was still living then. I called her. I said, Aunt Clara, I got a movie. She said, yes, baby, everything you're doing. And I said, yes. She says, where are you going to shoot? And I said, the Philippines. And she hung up on me. Because at that time, Marcos was leaving the country. It was a very dangerous environment. I called her back and I begged. I said, listen, you got to forgive me. I got to go. It's my opportunity. She reluctantly agreed. That movie launched everybody's career. It was Johnny Depp's second film, Forrest Whitaker's second film, mine and Keith David's first film. On and on, Corey Glover, who went on to become the lead singer of Living Colour. Charlie Sheen's, I think, third film. It was just a cast of hungry young actors transported from LA and New York into the Philippine jungle, which was very intense because we had to go through a month of boot camp training, which meant that we slept in our clothes, never took our boots off, ate MREs, and had to deal with cockroaches the size of lizards and chain snatching monkeys that would drop down from the trees and try to take your neck off. And
Are you sure that wasn't Charlie Sheen? No.
yeah, it could have been.
Never know with him.
That's a good one. I like it. No, we were a little pissed at Charlie because he was one of the youngest of us, and we had to go out and do a 25-click, hike and discovery every day. And like 4 times he would say, "My back hurts, I can't go." So we took care of that.
How?
We have ways. When you're in the jungle and you can't change your clothes, there's ways to fix everything. One time we were on the blue line, the water we call it the blue line, and we were in there and we saw dead caribou, but we were innocent. We didn't know anything, so we went about a quarter mile up and we started eating our MRI. And then we come back to camp, and all of a sudden everybody starts scratching, and everybody had caught leeches from the time. And that was the one time we got to change clothes. So in the camp, you had all these naked actors, like happily just spraying water over themselves, except for Charlie, because he didn't go that day. And we wouldn't let him join in the fun.
Aw, that sounds like a good time.
It was a great time. See, if they had filmed that, that would be a great part of the documentary.
True. So what did they film for the documentary?
We did interviews of all the actors that were in it and with their experiences and what had become of them. And, we all had different paths. Johnny Depp he didn't want to be an actor. He wanted to be a musician. So this was his second film, and look where he is now. Charlie, I don't know what he wanted to be, but, look where he is. Forrest Whitaker, we're so proud of him. One of the few of us that have actually gotten an Academy Award. So, it was a good group of people and a good learning experience.
I actually think that would be a cool panel to see. Have you guys ever done a panel together?
We've never, ever. Keith and I have been at a couple of conventions together. Keith David is now on a show called Greenleaf, incredible theater actor as well. No, it's never. But I think when this documentary comes out, there's talk of doing something. I don't know. But I don't know if the movie has, we're happy. That movie won 4 Academy Awards. We all went to the Academy Awards. We were young, and then we all got on the list, so everybody got work, and who knew how the decks were going to be shuffled.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
I can only
And my aunt
imagine.
was happy when I finally came home.
So minus where you were shooting, everything else was, minus the fact that you had, where did you shoot?
Yeah. But she never got on a plane, and finally I was shooting a Western up in Calgary, Alberta with Christopher Reeve called Black Fox. We did 3 TV movies. It was going to be a series, and on our downtime, unfortunately, Christopher had his accident. But she'd never been on a plane, and I flew her first class up to Calgary. She didn't want to go. I said, "You got to come. You love Westerns. You got to come." And she came off. She was shaking like a leaf, and they made the crew put her on a lawn chair right along the Western plane. For 2 weeks, she watched her baby boy ride stagecoaches, horses, all the cliche Western stuff. And every time I looked at her, she was just beaming like a proud mother. So she got to see that, and then, so she knew I was all right, and I knew she was proud.
How could she not be?
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes people have to tell your family members when you respect and love them, otherwise you don't get the opportunity.
Very true. That's a good point. So we have a couple more minutes. Do we have any last-minute questions y'all want to get in? We can talk more about cats. So, that's...
Why not? My first pet was a pet turtle, if anybody cares. His name was Timothy.
I care.
Oh, that was August Wilson. August Wilson. He's been in 10 plays. He won 2 Pulitzer Prizes, and unfortunately he passed away at 54. But he got those 10 plays done before he went. So that people are still reviving his work as we speak. They just did a version of Jitney on Broadway about 6 months ago.
Any other final questions?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes. Well, we've been in conversations with them. You know, like I said, they're doing another project. I think it's called Vengeance, about this high school. It's kind of like Boys in the Hood meets Scream kind of thing. That one we're not doing, but you know, they're aware. So I just changed agencies, so I had to shake some things up because now my goal. All my life, I've never been a regular on a series. I've been in tons of different, because I'm a character actor. I like playing characters. But now the goal is to get a regular, so I can be in your living room every week, or however you stream it, or demand it, or download it. And so we'll see. And an anime voice.
It's gonna happen.
That's a must. I'm calling it to the universe.
You're secreting?
I'm giving it. I see it and be it. Creative visualization.
Well, I'll hope it for you as well.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts you want to leave us with, Tony?
No, I just want everybody to have a good time, enjoy the rest of the season, you know, appreciate each other, try to get through the madness that's going on around us, and, you know, love each other more.
And obviously, we have a lot of projects to look forward to for
Yeah,
you.
and come visit us, and we don't bite. I don't have a hook. Some of you know that.
Well, thank you so much again. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, for Tony Todd.